Hey guys, welcome to another episode of The Mind of Reese. Woo! Today was a doozy of a day. I came here in real time in the middle of the week, not my normal podcasting time, just to share some really juicy transmissions with you all and actually share a really deep story that, I used to feel a lot of shame around. So before we get into that episode, excuse me, I had to burp a little bit. We have a couple of things going on. I'm so excited. Right now, we have my biggest, exciting new money-making program called Booked Out. I'm basically calling it the ultimate money-making program for tattoo artists and creatives. It's my launch strategy, it's the money mindset, it's how we storytell, how we create waitlist, early birds, how we deal with our emailing lists. All of these things encompassed. You can find more details about it in the show notes. If you get on the waitlist, you will get a cheeky 50% off discount. And because it's a 2-week immersion, so basically 6+ classes with me and live, and you'll get the recordings as well, but it's going to be all about money, honey. And I'm so excited to be talking about the energy around making money. Also, I do have early birds for Inspired Academy. Now, if you decide that you want to get into Inspired Academy now, you will actually get my Booked Out program for free. That's right. So if you have been trying to get on Inspired Academy and you're like, you know what? Early bird special starts today. So if you want to get in on that, I will give you Booked Out, a $2,500 value for free. So who wouldn't want that? So if you are trying to do that, click the link in the bio, or you can DM me, ask me if you have any questions, things like that. So yeah, those are the two things that are happening. Also, I'm kind of seeking some, if you have ever wanted to do like a one-off a la carte one-on-one with me, where it's like a 50-minute session, up-leveling your business, your mindset, your energy. I do a lot of energy healing work. We go over your business strategies and structures in these 50 minutes. Honestly, what you get out of this is it will literally up-level your business in a big way just by having a 50-minute sesh with me. If you want to learn more about that, please do not hesitate to ask me. You can click the link in the show notes. Otherwise, I hope you love this podcast episode. My whole heart and soul went into it, especially because a story I, have been telling over the years. It was one that I used to hate telling a lot, but have really truly alchemized it. And for some reason today it had come up heavy around shame. And then this story was brought up in my mind through my ego. And I just was like, oh, this is something I definitely should be talking about. So let's get into it. I love you. Let me know if you're feeling the vibes, if you love it. I'll see you. Guys, welcome back to another episode of The Mind of Reese. I am meeting you in the middle of the week. Normally my podcast days are like Saturdays or Sundays, but I have feeling some transmissions channeling through, and took it to my IG live, and now I'm going to take it here on the podcast to go a little bit more in depth of what I was talking about. And so today what I want to talk about is turning your shame into power, turning negative energies, emotions that make you feel really crunchy, the ones you try to avoid, the feelings that you're just trying to process. Now, oftentimes in my podcast, I do talk a lot about how we process our emotions and turn it into momentum to get us going into quantum leaps and bounds through our life and through our career and through our business. And with that being said, today I shared something that was a story I used to hate talking about because I still felt so much shame around it. And it was one of those stories where I just was like, fuck, like it made me who I am today. but it is still one of those stories that nobody ever really wants to admit, and if you've been following me for a while, you already know the story. I've talked about it on national television. I've talked about it on social media. Yeah, I've basically done everything in my power to honestly just really repair who I was, and save face in a way that I thought would be helpful. And all I did in telling those stories was actually perpetuate more shame, because in telling those stories, I wasn't utilizing it or alchemizing it as power. I was just telling it in hopes to make myself feel better. And throughout the years, I never felt better, even by just coming clean and telling the story, because I still felt so much shame around it. And this story, last 7 years ago, I was caught for taking tattoo photos and claiming them as my own. And and when I got caught doing this put me in a place of like massive rock bottom. I hit rock bottom. I was on a high. I was, 2 years into my career. I had gone on a tattoo television show. And although that made me feel really good, I still felt really small. I felt like I wasn't good enough to be there. And I shamed myself for the way I tattooed. And I never thought that I was good enough. And now none of this is being said to, and I hope that we can have an elevated conversation where none of this is being said to justify what I did. There's no justification with the decisions that I had made. But oftentimes when we make decisions, we do it based off experiences of our life that tell us that we are not enough, that we aren't good enough, that we shouldn't love where we are because we always have to be somewhere different. And I am not, immune to feeling those things. And in that, what I ended up doing was something that I wasn't proud of. I knew I could be the tattooer that could be the best, but I just wanted to feel better about myself. And so what did I do? I claimed things that weren't mine. And God, just thinking about it, it's just like it brings up a lot of emotions, because there's still this little girl in me that's like feels a lot of shame around what I've done. And I've done a lot of shitty things in my life, and I'm not very proud of them. But the one thing is that when this happened, when it got so public, when I hit rock bottom, when I had to look myself in the eye in my rawest and truest form, in the nakedness, stripped of the identity of what I thought I wanted to be, I had to look at her and say, is this what we're really all doing it for? Is this why I'm here? And I get really emotional about it, because it was the biggest flex of my life, and also the biggest rock bottom, because I was dropped of everything, as I should. Right when it happened, I contacted all my sponsors. I told them what I did and what's out on social media and how much I was being shamed for this. And I at least wanted to hold some decorum of my dignity to tell them first before they heard it through social media, which, obvious first thing they do is say, hey, Reese, thanks for telling us, but you're off. And I was like, I understand. And of course, after that, there was a lot of hate that came with it. And honestly, I took it to the face, because I was like, I deserve it. I deserve this. I deserve everything. And put me in a deeper, darker hole, because I just kept saying that I deserved all of the hate, all of the unnecessary death threats, which I don't understand why I should die because of the reason. But there was a lot of those kinds of things. And unfortunately, that happens in the social media realm when you have people behind keyboards that feel like they could just say whatever it is they want to say. And, and I had a lot of shame. I felt a lot of shame for many years, even to this day. I talk about it, and it brings up a lot of emotions in me, because it's something that, like, at the end of the day, I look straight in the face and I'm like, yeah, that was me. That was me. That was a big part of who I was back then. I was that person, yeah. But the little girl back then who only had the resources she knew, only was thinking this was her only way. It was almost like the justification. This is my only way to get bigger, to feel bigger. It wasn't even to get bigger. It was just to feel bigger. It was just to feel whole. It was to feel fulfilled. It was to feel liked, to feel validated. It was also a big reason why I, got naked oftentimes in front of a camera to show off all my tattoos so that I would get attention. It was to feel wanted. And all of these feelings at the end of the day were just fleeting. And I needed more. And I would do anything for more of it. And so I did. I did whatever. I did things I was not proud of. Probably, and burned relationships that I wasn't proud of burning. And, I lost a lot in that time. And thinking back on it, it's like, fuck, like in hindsight, I'm like, it made me the woman I am today. And I'm so grateful. I am so grateful for that happening. I'm so grateful. Because then it tested me. It tested my mettle. It tested the woman that I am meant to become. And I could have quit tattooing. I didn't know how I was ever going to show my face again in the tattoo industry. But it was one of those things that in hindsight, now that I look back, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. And when I took a year off, I deleted all the social medias. I took a year off. I went into yoga teacher training. I still, felt a lot of shame, but then I started my healing journey. This was like the beginning of the momentum of my healing journey. Now, don't get me wrong. I was invited to do another television show called Black Ink Crew. And I wanted so badly to feel better about myself that I accepted, because I wanted to just be honest and tell this story on national television so that people would hear that I know what I did was wrong and that I own it, and I 100%, of course, take 100% responsibility of it. And that was that. And instead what happened was I did get to tell the story. I did get to, and it came about in the dumbest and most played out ways by producers that, oh my goodness, I can't even begin to tell you. But it did come out, and it was the honest truth of what I had done, and I still felt nothing. And what happened after that, after I quit, a lot of things got thrown around on that show that just made me feel even more separate. And what I kept thinking was that I was being separated from everyone around me. I felt so lonely. But what was happening, and what I was realizing, and what I was learning, was that I was separate from myself. I was looking for wholeness outside of myself, and I was coming up short. And when we are perpetuating something, when we are looking for the safety and homeostasis outside of ourselves, of course, we're never going to feel wholeness. We're only going to perpetuate more patterns of separateness. And when we do that, we just dig a deeper hole into anxiety, depression, aloneness, failure, comparison, imposter syndrome, envy, jealousy. So I had to normalize and validate my feelings. I had to look myself in the eye and take radical responsibility for who I am and for what I had done. I had to look myself in the eye and tell myself I loved myself despite all of the things that I felt so much shame around. And the moment that I decided to take that type of action, to feel into the patterns that made me feel guilt and shame and separateness and envy, and notice that when I am having a pattern of separateness and envy and shame, that it's my opportunity to rewrite these patterns. And so the reason why I bring this up to you guys today and why it's been coming up is because lately I have been feeling a sense of separateness. I've been feeling a sense of envy. I've been going into my mastermind with a group of girls who are super successful in the coaching industry, and I don't know why, I was just comparing myself to them. And I notice within myself, as I compare myself to them, I'm creating separateness. And if I continue to not show up or say anything about this, I'm going to only perpetuate more separateness. And this is why it's so important to have community. This is why it's so important to cultivate people around you that can hear you and see you and reconnect you. Because connection is the only difference between envy and inspiration. If you want to feel inspired, you need to feel connected. And connection comes with wholeness within yourself and with the community outside of yourself, your soulmates, your soul sisters, your soul brothers, the people you choose to be in your closest vicinity, your closest circle. This is a huge reason why I believe in mentorship, because the young girl that believed that she needed to do all of those things outside of herself to feel validation, if she had only known that all she needed to do was look inward for that validation, maybe, just maybe, she wouldn't have done it. But it was meant for me to do it so that I can come back and up-level the leader to guide others to know that they are not alone and they are not separate, so that they can feel that they have someone to turn to when they are moving through crunchy bits within their lives. This is up-leveling. This is how we turn shame into power. This is how we process and alchemize these emotions, these feelings we have within ourselves, these beliefs. This was a belief that young Reese had. She believed she needed to do those things. She believed it. She believed it, otherwise she wouldn't have done it, right? And so for me, as I come to you with this, and it feels empowering to talk about this story. I've talked about it some in my podcast, but not often, not where it becomes its own episode, really. And so I come to you with this information to just create a sense of connection and community. Because at the end of the day, not saying that you've done this or ever felt like you've wanted to, but saying that there are those feelings when we drop down to the foundation, all it is this separateness. It is this feeling of unworthiness, not enoughness, this feeling of not feeling whole. And what do we do when we have those feelings? We try to fill it up with things outside of us. And this is why this work is so important, because it takes a lot of guts and bravery to face those feelings, to face what it is that causes them, that perpetuates over and over in your life. I have lived with that shame for a very long time, that really tough, rough shame. And sometimes it does come up every once in a while, but honestly, I love the girl that did that. I love her. I forgive her. I give her so much compassion. Why? Because she was just using the tools that she had at the time that she knew. What she didn't know, she didn't know. Now she knows. Now I know. I needed to do that in order to get to where I am today. But I don't believe that we all need to hit rock bottom in order to make a change. Some of us do in different ways and some of us don't. This what needed to happen to me. And you know what? I thank the goddess every day for it, because if it wasn't for that experience, I would not be the woman I am today. Living life in new paradigm. And yes, when things and when activations happen, when I am like, whoa, I'm feeling envy and jealousy and I'm comparing, I actually laugh. I'm like, holy shit, Reese, are we actually feeling this way? Oh, babe, like, okay, what do we need to do? What did I do? I thought on it, I processed it in my meditation, and you know what? I brought it up. I told the sweet, honest truth. I went up to my mentors and to my girls in the mastermind, 24 of them, and I was like, you guys, every time I come in here lately, I have been fucking jealous of you. I have been feeling jealousy. I've been comparing myself to your successes. I've been wondering why things aren't happening fast enough for me, feeling myself in the victim, and I just want to feel seen and heard in this moment. And thank you for hearing me out. And you know what happened after that? Instead of them being like, gosh, Reese, like, get over it. They could have just been like that, because that's how I felt like I was talking to myself. Instead, what they were like, oh my God, Reese, I feel the same fucking way. Thank you for bringing this here. I'm just too scared to bring it here because I didn't want anybody to know that it's like I'm having a low vibe. And then girl after girl after girl after girl. And this is what creates connection. And then this gives me the gift of inspiration. And then what happened? What happened after I did that? I went online and shared this story. I'm on here in this podcast sharing my truth. And this is where when true authenticity and true integrity comes to play, inspiration, creativity comes out. And connection and community follows with it. Because people love authenticity. And you know what? A lot of you out there who listen to this might be like, holy shit, whoa. And don't get me wrong. I know a lot of people will be like, I don't want to get tattooed by you now. Or I don't want to follow you anymore because that's some fucked up shit. And how could you ever do that? And blah, 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 blah. And trust me, this is the reason, this is the main source of my shame, because I care so much about what other people thought of me. I wanted to feel vindication. So every time I martyred myself and told this story, I thought I was doing something to make myself feel better. And all I was doing was just perpetuating more unworthiness and more separateness, because I did not realize at the time that wholeness only comes from within me first. And now when I talk about this story that's used to be so hard to talk about, I talk about it with no shame, because anything anybody says about me, I am already whole. I am already whole inside of me. That anybody that doesn't want to be here or has something negative or mean or unjust to say about how they feel about what I have done in my life, I can be like, okay, I understand, and walk away still feeling whole. That is the point. This is the point. So when we face our truth, we face the dark, depth, swampy, negative, disgusting feelings we are so trying to avoid, just know that in the avoidance, you are only going to perpetuate more of that feeling. However, but when you decide to look it straight in the eye, that is the moment you are going to alchemize it and empower yourself and literally transform your life. And in that leadership, you become so empowered. You begin to operate from a new state of being. And from that new state of being, you are living a whole nother life. When you do that, your business follows with it. because your perspective has changed. You are operating from wholeness, not from separateness. You are operating from love and from service, not from neediness or validation, because you give it and offer it to yourself from the wholeness within you. There is nobody that could tell you that you are anything other than fucking limitless and perfect, because you just something you already embody. So all of the stories, all of the shame, all of the separateness, the envy, the comparison, the lack, the failures, every time you look back on it, you feel shame around that thing. You are reliving your past and you're making it your present moment. You are perpetuating it and making it your future. Now, I decided that I no longer wanted to live in my past and perpetuate that future of more shame and more envy and comparison. And when it happens, I'm human and I'm beautiful and that's awesome. But I have no problem alchemizing it and processing through it and looking it straight in the eye and being like, hey, baby, it's okay. I love you. And the only reason why it can happen every once in a while, like today, it happened. And so what did I do? I went and talked about it. I was like, you know what? I got to let my ladies know I'm feeling a little jealous of you guys right now. And you know what they tell me? They're like, I'm feeling jealous of you too. And I'm like, wait, what? And they're like, wait, what? Yes. So that's how the conversation goes. You realize that we're not actually separate. There is no separation between us when we open up, when we connect. Connection is the only difference between envy and inspiration. You gotta find reasons to perpetuate that story more and more. So what do? You back off. You don't talk about it. You don't face it. You stay lonely. You stay alone. You hide in your hole. After I'm done processing things through meditation, I totally bring it up to my therapist, to my mentors, to my mastermind. These are the things that this is the reason why I value. There is no dollar amount you can put on these places that I go to in order to up level in some capacity. There is no dollar amount that they could say it is not, like, it is so worth every penny I put into these things. I literally told my mentor, who I spent 30 grand on for 6 months, I told her in one conversation this morning that it was worth 30 grand for this 50-minute conversation. Worth every penny. Why? Because I can already feel myself up leveling. And this is why I love doing what I do, because I love helping people see, opening up your eyes, becoming aware, sharing perspective, hoping to inspire you, to help you lead yourself to a community, to a group. It doesn't have to be mine. Just make sure it's around people that you know are up leveling. Like, I'm always in a room where I am a little intimidated by all the people in it. I want to be in a room where I feel like I may be the dumbest person here. That's where I want to be. If I'm not feeling up leveled, there is no point for me to be there. This is the reason why a lot of friendships get dissolved throughout my life. This is the reason why I have one best friend. And, and all the new friends that are coming into my life, this is all happening because I'm magnetizing them to me from a new state of being, from this whole state of being. I'm no longer perpetuating it, magnetizing people in my life from a place of separateness, from a place of envy, from a place of people that are going to just rally with me and not call me out on my bullshit. I actually am surrounding myself and paying very good money, and honestly happy to pay it, to be surrounded by people I know are up leveled in a way, and they want to continue to up level. They want to continue to grow. They want to continue to have quantum crumbles, because they know in the crumbles there are their quantum successes. And those are the people I want to surround myself with. That's the reason why I bring this to you today, because I am no different. Fuck, I may have done things you're like, I would never do. And that's okay. I hope you never feel the need to do any of the things that I have done in my past. that I felt like I needed to do in order to feel a semblance of validation or to feel seen or to feel good about myself. And there's no need to unpack on all the reasons why I made all those decisions. I made them, I own it, and that's what it is. And now I'm here talking about it in a way that I'm hoping and only inspires you to never feel like you have to take a shortcut. And actually, there's so many shortcuts out there, but they're calling you for your codes. These are the codes that people want to offer you, like shortcuts in a way where you can. Like my shortcut now is that I spend all of my resources, time, energy, and money into groups like my mentorships, like my masterminds, like hanging out with the people where I feel like I'm the dumbest in the room, or I feel like I'm not, like I want to feel intimidated in spaces. I don't want to feel like I don't want to just feel coasting. Like I always want growth, and I want to be surrounded by people that want that too. My boyfriend is like that. The mastermind I'm in, my mentors, obviously, the people that I coach, they're like that. All the people in my space, my community, you're listening to it right now. If you're listening to this, you're one of them. My best friend, she is on a spiritual journey that a mom could be proud of. I'm so happy for her, and it's scary and it's fucking gnarly. It's a roller coaster ride of crazy, but it's worth it. And all of the things that I've been through in my life is so worth it to be the woman that I am now. And that who I am now is the worst I'll ever be because I know that I keep getting better every single day. And I am only 10% of the empowered, embodied leader, entrepreneur, woman, artist, tattoo artist, educator, mentor that I am meant to be right now. And if I'm only 10%, that means I got 90% left to go. And that means I'm so excited for all the work I got to do. But if this is how fast I'm already doing it, because I took radical responsibility for my own decisions, for my own life, and loved them and had compassion and forgiveness for myself and for everyone around me, for all of the experience, not just for that one, but for all of them that I've ever felt jaded about or felt like it was their fault or mad at something or whatever. I took responsibility for my own goddamn feelings. And I said, hey, I want to change this pattern. And what did I do? I changed it. I changed the pattern, and now I have no sense of separateness. I have only a sense of wholeness. And when those times of separateness slip into my mind, I become really conscientious of it. I become conscious of it. It is no longer a subconscious thing. If a subconscious pattern just wants to happen, then I am aware of it. And yes, it is hard work. It takes a lot of bravery and courage to be aware of your own patterns, because it is our safety. Our patterns are our safety. It creates homeostasis. Homeostasis is safety. We want to stay safe. But it's unsafe to try to unseat those patterns, to try to remove patterns, because it's the only thing you know. So guilt, shame, anxiety, depression, all of these things that you feel are safe. That's a safety pattern for you. A safety pattern for me. Envy, jealousy, whenever, especially if I'm in the middle of a launch, which I am, and I'm like, well, what if it doesn't work? What if this doesn't work? What if I don't make this? What if that? What if? And I'm literally walking through myself in real time right now here with you. I'm like, yeah, what if it does work? What if this? And if I am going into spaces and feeling jealousy, let me call myself out for it. And let me be honest with the people I know I can be honest with. Now, I'm not saying if that's happening, go out there and be honest, like with just the randos. Like, no, this is why we create community from authenticity. I remember I had a client come in and call me the queen of authenticity. And I was like, oh shit, I wish. I was like, damn. But for her to call me that, and she was a client, she's not even a tattoo artist. She was like, I'm not even a tattoo artist, but I love everything you say. And the reason why I told my husband to go get tattooed by you, because she wasn't my client, it was actually her husband. It was because of you, the things that you talk about with authenticity. You're the queen of authenticity to me. And I was like, holy shit. So what did that do? It almost fucking gave me more momentum to be like, holy shit, where am I not being authentic? Let me try and be as authentic as possible here, Because if I'm trying to build anything, I want to be so far into integrity with myself and feel so whole and feel so fucking like nobody can get through this armor because of my wholeness and love for life. All I've got for you is love for you, regardless of what you think of me. That is where I want to operate from, and that's the woman I'm trying to operate from. So when I come to you today to share with you what's happening with me, that I'm feeling envy, comparison, separateness, and where sometimes when I feel those things, of course, my past gets brought into it, because all of a sudden my past starts rushing through, and it's like, well, these are all the times you should feel shame, and these are all the times you should feel mad and envious, and you're not enough because you did some bad things back then. And we're going to bring it back up and make it present, and we're going to live through it again and perpetuate more of the feelings that we like feeling because it's a pattern within us. That's basically what's happening. And you know what? It's the reason why it happens is because your ego is just trying to protect you. My ego brings back those old things because it's like, oh God, we're having anxiety. Well, remember this last time you had anxiety and this happened? Like, we don't want this to happen again. So just make sure that you remember that. And I'm like, okay, thank you. Calm down. And so what do? I do something different. Instead of feeling separate and staying alone with that separateness and continuing and perpetuating more separateness, I go and I talk about it to my community and to my people. And because I know that this is my opportunity to change the pattern, to rewrite it, to rewrite this story. Shame is only associated to patterns of sabotage. And it's simple. All we got to do is shift it. It takes bravery. It takes courage. But it's time to surrender. This is the time when the universe is asking you to surrender. The moments you're feeling anxiety, depression, all of the things is because you're not living in the moment. And when we can try to surrender into the moment and into the presence of the magic of the present moment, that is where the magic lies. Knowing that everything you're doing in your business, in your life is enough. I don't need to do any more I don't need to do any more. I know that I put my whole energy into the thing. I put my best effort into the tattoo, into the design. I got a good night's rest. I went and worked out in the morning. I did everything I could. It's the best tattoo I could have done that day. And now it's time to surrender. It's time to surrender. And this is me giving you an example. Oftentimes we did this, and then there's all this shame that comes with that. I don't want my success to be based on a metric outside of myself, because of course my life will always feel like I'm on an anxiety roller coaster. So when I start to see success as a metric based on what's inside of myself, my inner wealth, my wholeness, that's when we operate from a new state of being. And that's when we can start to become aware and conscious of the patterns that we are perpetuating within our lives. And so when those things come up again and again and again, anxiety, separateness, envy, comparison, this is our opportunity. This is the opportunity that the universe, the divine source, wants to share with you. It's like, you're ready to see this pattern, to become conscious of this pattern, and to change it right here and now. And today I got to do that, and I got to do it in real time. And I got really lucky because I even got to do it in front of a bunch of people, in front of you now here as I'm speaking, in front of everybody on my IG live, and in front of my girls in my mastermind. I just became openly, here's my heart on this silver platter. I am not afraid to hide it. I am not afraid to speak my truth. I'm not afraid to be honest, because I know I'm already whole within me. This is true leadership. This is true up-leveling. And from this space, you can quantum leap within your business, and even better, in your life. I love you guys so much. If this resonates with you, let me know. Thank you for hearing me, seeing me, and sharing space and time with me. I love you, and on to the next episode.